Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our Ancestral Harvest webinar series. This is the third in a four-part series, and tonight we actually get to watch Dr. Lois Ellen Frank actually cook, which is really fun. And so she's going to be preparing no-fry fry bread and an Indian taco two ways. We're also going to have a question and answer session afterwards, and we're going to let Sarah give us a few ground rules, tell us how things are running in case you're not familiar with Zoom, and then Rochelle has a few words to say, and then we'll hand it off to Dr. Frank. So Sarah?
All right, thank you so much. I'm just gonna go through a quick Zoom tutorial for anyone who is new to Zoom, and just to kind of recap how we're gonna use it today, and so you know where to find everything. So starting off, I just want to let you know that we're doing a Zoom webinar today, so you will never have to worry about accidentally coming off of mute. Your video and your audio will be turned off for the entirety of the session tonight. And if you do want to adjust anything with your audio, like whether the sound is coming through your computer speakers or headphones, or if you want to call in separately, that's fine as well. You'll just go to the audio settings on the bottom left part of your screen. And I'll also walk through what this will look like on the phone briefly at the end. And so you can adjust the audio settings there, and we will also be recording today's session, just so you're aware, but everyone attending will remain completely anonymous, and no one's name or video will appear at any point in the recording. Next thing I want to point out is the chat box. So we welcome you to write any comments and comment on how amazing and delicious I'm sure the food is going to look tonight. In the chat box here, we encourage you to ask all of your questions in the Q&A box instead of the chat. So you can use the chat for that, and you can also, we recommend toggling this little button to all panelists and attendees. It usually defaults to just all panelists, which is going to be just the speakers, but we want everyone to be able to see each other's comments, so you can change that to all panelists and attendees if you'd like. And here's what the Q&A box will look like. You can send any questions anonymously by checking the send anonymously box at the bottom. And if you want to like someone else's question, if you have the same one, feel free to do that. On your phone, again, the audio settings will be in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can change up whether you're calling in through your computer or through your phone. And on your phone, the chat and Q&A, again, will also be on the bottom of the screen. It will, if you click it, it will fill up your whole phone if you click one of those buttons, but then you can find the Ask Questions button at the top here. And again, on the chat, there's that button to change it to all panelists and attendees so that everyone in the webinar today can see your comments. So thank you very much, and I will turn it over to Rochelle.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rochelle Lucero. I am the lifestyle coach for the diabetes program. Last week, every presentation we have a drawing, and the person who won last week is Caitlin Sandoval. She is the winner of our Chile Fresco and Seco drawing posters. Hopefully you'll be the lucky one to win this week's drawing. It's going to be a cookbook, taco table cookbook with an apron. Thank you.
Hey, I was just waiting for someone to introduce me. Hi, everyone. My name's Lois Ellen Frank, and I am so honored to be here tonight. We're in for a treat. So we're going to take the traditional Indian taco, and we are going to make it healthier. We're going to do a couple of different things. So one, we're going to make fry bread into no-fry fry bread. So we're going to make the same dough. I'm going to show you how I make my dough, but instead of frying it, we're going to grill it. And then on top of that, we're going to make an Indian taco. So the traditional Indian taco is made mostly with meat. We're going to make it heavier on the beans tonight, and we're going to do two versions. One is going to be with organic freshly ground turkey, and the other is going to be with just beans and some delicious seasoning and vegetables. And I just want to talk to you, for those of you that tuned in, you may already know this, but beans are amazing. They are sustenance in a pod. They are an excellent source of fiber, high in protein, low in fat. They have vitamin B6. They're high in potassium. They have magnesium, iron, calcium. They're what they call a slow release food. So this is perfect for anybody with pre-diabetes or diabetes. They reduce blood sugar and they're good for blood pressure. They improve your cholesterol levels and they help maintain a healthy gut. So we're just gonna learn how to use these beans, make a delicious Indian taco. And I'm gonna show you some amazing vegetables that we can top it with. Some you may be familiar with and some that you may not. And so when we get to that part of tonight's class, I'm gonna show you some alternative toppings to the traditional topping, heavy on the cheese. We're not gonna use any cheese tonight. We're gonna focus on those vegetables. And so it's going to be so much fun. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make the no-fry bread. And I'm gonna start with just the all-purpose flour like you normally would. Some of you have your favorite brands. And we're going to add some baking powder to that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And remember that here in the Southwest, all of our native communities did have access to salt that was traded. We have the Salt Lakes to the south and east, and there are many pueblos that actually go there to harvest the salt. So we're going to use a little bit of what I call Zuni salt. I trade with my Zuni friends, mixed with a little bit of kosher salt. And then I'm just going to take a slotted spoon, and I want to just mix those dry ingredients together. Now, two ways to do this. You can use your hands, or you can put gloves on. I have no nails, no jewelry, clean hands, so I'm going to use my hands for this. I'm going to be taking my warm water, and I'm going to start to mix that into the flour and baking powder and salt. And I start with a spoon. That's easy. And you'll notice I turn my bowl. I'm trying to get all of that flour around from the side. So we're just doing a circular motion. And then I'm going to come in with my hands. And I want to get that dough so that we can knead it. And I always think of kneading as something that my cats do. But this is sort of bread dough. So you'll notice I'm just turning it and we're pushing it down and kneading. You can actually do it in the bowl or you can remove it from the bowl. I have a little bit of extra flour here. So as it gets sticky, I'm just going to sprinkle it so that I can handle it. And I actually love kneading bread. Oh, it's just relaxing. I'm sure many of you know how to make this already, the dough. We're just going to do a little twist on this. So you can see here that dough, nice and soft. And actually, Chef Walter, who's filming tonight, he'll be, you'll get to see him at the end, is really good at making bread. So it doesn't matter if you're male or female, everybody can make bread. And we can teach our kids how to do this. So again, just kneading that dough. I'll take it out so that you can see. Make sure you sprinkle a little bit and then just pushing down. I like to push down and turn. And it's going to make a nice soft dough. Look at that. Beautiful. And you can actually feel it. So we do want to knead 3 to 5 minutes. And because this has baking powder, we're going to need to let it rest. So letting it rest is definitely a part of this recipe, which is why we're starting. But look at that beautiful dough. Pushing it down nice and soft. It should have some elasticity to it. And it's just very relaxing. So, and you know, a lot of people say that this is where we call in the wisdom of our ancestors. We want to think good thoughts when we're making dough because our hands are touching it. We want to have all the love for our families and health and wellness, all the good things going into that dough as we make it. So there's my dough. I'm going to put it in. Oh, it's perfect. Nice and soft. We've been kneading. Now we're just going to put it in a bowl and let it rise while we do some of the other things for tonight's class. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to saute. We have for our Indian taco tonight, and all of you are going to have these recipes, so I'm going to encourage all of you to make this at home. It's a great family thing, and so very family oriented and fun to do. So the first thing we're going to do is saute onion, and we're going to be using garlic. I just want to show you the garlic. Chef Walter and I like to take garlic and blacken it, and so we have blackened the garlic just in a dry pan, and we're going to be using the blackened garlic tonight with the onions. And then we're going to be using some tomato. So come on over to the stove, guys. We're going to start to saute. So we're going to be making two. Over here, we're going to do the plant-based version. So the first thing we're going to do, you'll notice I have a cast iron pan, is I'm going to put my onions in. And then this one, the same thing. We're also going to put our onion in. And we want to start to saute. So my pan is seasoned, but we want to use a minimal amount of oil to keep it nice and healthy. So the pan is nice and hot. Your temperature is pretty high. And we just want to start to brown those onions. The goal here is to do what we call caramelizing, and that's a browning. And so the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of that blackened garlic to each one. And our recipe says to use a teaspoon. You can adjust that. If you like garlic, you could add a little bit more. If you don't like garlic, you could add a little bit less. But the reason that we like to use the blackened garlic is it softens the flavor a little bit. So very, very easy and lots of flavor. Again, it's always about the flavor. And then I have two kinds of beans tonight. So I like to cook my beans in a slow cooker. So I made 1 pound of beans in a slow cooker, and then I drained them. And I reserved the bean juice. So the bean juice we're going to use for flavor tonight. And then the other one is canned beans. So you can also use canned beans. You know, they're a little more expensive. So I would encourage you just to make your own. But again, it's totally up to you. It's more convenient. But I think cooking beans in the slow cooker, very, very easy to do. So see the onions getting nice and brown. So now I'm going to take the organic ground turkey to this pan, and we want to push that down and start to make sure that it's cooked. Poultry is one of the meats that you do not want to eat undercooked. And in this pan, look at that beautiful brown on those onions. We're going to let that cook. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Yum. Nice and brown. That's going to give us some nice flavor. So in this pan, we're going to go ahead and add our tomatoes. That's the next thing that's going to get cooked here. And again, just stir that in. You can actually hear that sound of those vegetables really starting to cook. And while these are both cooking, I'm going to take my green chilies, and I know all of you know how to roast chilies, so I'm not going to show you how to do that, but I am going to go ahead and peel it. And I have perfectly roasted green chilies that I put in a metal bowl. Again, if you're sensitive, you can go ahead and use gloves. But remember, chilies are medicinal, and so chilies, it would be perfect to use your hands. So here is my perfectly blackened chili. Look at how easy that skin comes off. And you can see the oil of the chili, which means the good flavor. All of us here in New Mexico love our chilies. And of course, our chilies are definitely one of our medicinal ancestral foods that we want to incorporate into all of our dishes for health and wellness. So because we're chopping this tonight, I'm going to go ahead and just make an incision. And then there are my seeds. For those of you that like it hot, you can leave those seeds in. I'm going to remove them. I like things hot, but I'm not as acclimated as some of you on the Pueblos. And Walter, who's Navajo, is definitely not acclimated to be hot. And of course, Walter and I don't waste anything. We just take that those pieces, and that's going to go back to the earth. That's going to get composted. So we're just going to take our chili and do strips, and then we're going to dice. So your recipe says to use 1 chili, but you can certainly use more, and I know some of you out there are going to want to use more. So let's get a couple of chilies prepped here. I'm just going to go ahead and stir, making sure everything's starting to turn nice and brown. So it's going to take about 5 to 7 minutes to cook that meat. So we're just going to let that meat cook in the background. Let's do another chili. So here again, that perfectly roasted chili, get that skin off. We always want to, after we roast, we do the cool down period. Let the chilies cool down, and then that skin just perfectly separates from the flesh, and we can get all of the black off. Of course, the black is available, and I don't know if you know this, but the ancestors devised this because they knew that the flavor, which is the medicine, is right under the skin. So by roasting the skin, we actually, or searing, right? We actually bring that oil to the surface. And of course that oil, the capsicum is the flavor, but it's also the medicine. And so the ancestors knew this, and to this day, we roast chilies based on that TEK, if those of you that remember the TEK. So that's our traditional knowledge of our ancestors, and of course, very, very important in our indigenous ancestral history. Look at that, beautiful green chili. I'll just cut up a couple more here. So I know Walter only wants 1, and your recipe says 1, but one of the batches will add 2 because these aren't that hot, and they're just going to have some really, really good flavor, right? Okay, so there. Notice I'm curling my fingers when I cut, and that's so that I do not cut my fingers off, and safety with our knife skills. So I think that's good. Or should we, let's cut up 1 more, huh, Chef Walter in the background. He's laughing because he's like, oh no, So we'll put one in the dish and then we'll be able to sprinkle one on top. So again, make your strips, churn those strips, and then curl your fingers and dice. Notice my knife rocking evenly, nicely. You want to make sure you have a knife you feel comfortable with, and then just get all of that off. I can put this into a bowl and we'll be able to use that in our dish. Yummy. All right, so we're going to go back over to the stove and give a stir to our vegetarian version over here. And look at how nicely those vegetables starting to cook down in this pan. And then over here, we want to crush down that meat, making sure that it cooks all the way through and it's in small pieces. And that vegetarian one's doing beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato. And then we're going to start to think about what spices we want to put in. And the spices that we're going to be using today are local New Mexico red chili. So we are going to be using some red chili powder, and then we're going to add some green chili. So we're going to do a little bit of red and green together, sort of a twist. And then this one is ready. We're going to go ahead and add the beans to this. So I'm going to go ahead and pour the beans in. And let's give that a stir. Notice everything we're stirring just to get all the melded flavors in here. And then we're going to add some of our green chili. So let's go ahead and add about 1 green chili into that. Let's give it a stir. Ooh, it's starting to look good, guys. And then we're going to add our seasoning. So the seasoning that we want to add, and this is Leo's red chili. This is a farmer friend from Okayawingay, and so I love Leo's chili. And the funny story is, because I live in Santa Fe and he lives a little bit north, every time he would come down to Santa Fe, he would call and say, I'm coming down, do you want chili? So of course I would meet him, and we would always choose to meet in the parking lot at Albertsons. And it was always about 8 or 8:30 in the morning. He's a farmer, he gets up early, and he was doing his deliveries. And so he was in a white van and I was in my car, and he would unload. I also bought some pozole from him, hominy corn, and we would do this trade-off, and people would look at us a little strange, like, what are they doing? But we were just exchanging chili and corn, not doing any sort of drug deal. So it's kind of funny. So the next thing we're going to add is our chili, and we're going to actually add a couple of spoons of that. I'm going to give it a stir. Notice I still don't have water in this, which we're going to add, and the liquid we're going to add here is going to be the bean juice, and the bean juice is going to add lots of flavor. So we're going to measure out 1 cup of bean juice, and notice the color. So what I'm getting in that bean juice is nutrients from the beans and lots of flavor. It's like its own vegetable stock. So we're going to go ahead and add that. You're going to hear it sizzle a little bit, and we want to go ahead and stir that in so that the red chili gets dissolved and goes into this. Oh, and this could be used a million different ways, right? So the next thing, look at that we're going to add, we want to let that juice come up to a boil, keep stirring, is we want to add a little bit of our salt and a little bit of pepper. So let's go ahead and add that to the vegetarian version. Let me get the salt over here. And again, salt is always to taste. You know, as you start to eat healthier, you're going to need less salt in your diet. And I know our health educators are going to try and encourage you to do that. So start to learn about herbs and chili and use the seasoning so that you can use less salt, right? Because salt has some adverse effects on the body if we use too much of it. So this is starting to come together very, very nicely over here. We're going to let that just simmer, and then we're going to give it a taste. Look at that delicious juice. That's going to be one of the toppings on our Indian taco. And let's go ahead and start to add the other ingredients here. Again, you want to just take, I'm actually going to get a spatula to sort of mash that down. We want the meat to be in small pieces. Okay. There we go. Nice small pieces. Okay. There, it's starting to brown nicely. You can see that the meat is done. And so again, we're going to add some green chili. And we're going to give it a stir. And then we're going to add, again, our red chili. And this is mild. You can use any heat level that you want. I know some of you like it hot, so go ahead and add hotter. We're doing mild. A lot of our clientele who's not Pueblo can't handle the heat. And sort of another funny story. So we were working on a project on one of the 8 northern Pueblos, and I made a green chili sauce, and Walter tasted it, and he said, "Oh, it's so hot! It's too hot. We have to make it again." And so we made it again, and I thought, well, let's just bring it, and we'll serve that on the side, and then we'll make a milder version, which we did. And so we set out both. And in this particular Pueblo, not only did they say they could have got a little hotter, Walter thought it was so hot it was inedible, but only the elders or the kids wanted the mild. So again, you know, everybody has a slightly different flavor. So here, again, take a look at that delicious pan here. We're going to add a little bit of salt. And we're going to add a little bit of pepper. Look at the beautiful colors starting to meld together. Mix all that in. Yum. And then we're going to add our beans. So let's go ahead and get our beans in. And we want to give those beans a nice stir. Notice I'm using a cast iron pan, and I really, really like a cast iron pan for this. My pan is still drying. You'll notice things are sticking to the bottom. That's perfectly fine because we're going to use the bean juice to actually deglaze that. Okay? So that's going to end up, look at that. Beautiful. See the color? All right. So once, oh yeah, look at that. Once everything is mixed, we are going to add our bean juice to this version. And again, we're going to let that juice, which is the flavor, get all that stuff off the bottom. We want to mix this. We do want some juice because we want that to go nicely on top of our no-fry fry bread. Oh, yeah. All right. So we're going to let this cook now. I'm going to actually move this. So my vegetarian version is definitely done. Look at the beautiful color. Oh, look at that. That's going to be great on top of our no-fry fry bread. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this to the back. See all the colors. We can give it a taste. Good. Okay. So I actually think this could have a tiny bit more chili, so I'm gonna use the rest of my green chili there. We'll put the rest of the green chili here. And then I'm just gonna move this to the back and let that sit. And then this pan over here is gonna just move. I want this to cook just a little bit more. I wanna make sure that that meat is completely cooked. Again, look at the juice, look at the flavor here. Lovely, okay? All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do, and I'm gonna leave this flame on, and we're gonna use this little grill. This is called a Santa Fe grill. And it's a great tool. I'm gonna put it right over the fire. You can use also those racks that you would dry cookies on. You could put that on top. This grill they sell at the Santa Fe School of Cooking, and we use it when we do cooking classes. But you can use also a cast iron pan if you do not have a grill or a rack for cookies. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we are going to take our dough that has been sitting and we're gonna roll it out. And I'm sure there's some elders watching. Everybody's grandma's grandma does this bread their own way. I know in Walter's family, we never question the grandmas, they're always right. So they might do it by hand. I'm gonna use a rolling pin, and we do have permission from the grandmas to do it this way. So again, I'm gonna put a little flour down. I'm gonna take my piece of dough, and I'm gonna get a rolling pin and just roll it out. So, and I like to turn and roll. This is Walter's antique rolling pin that he has. It's been with him for quite some time. So I just turn it. We want to make it as even as possible. And then here's the beauty of this. So I'll make a couple so that we can put them on the grill one after the other. Again, there's my little dough. And we're just gonna make sure it has flour on it and then roll. Look at that. So you can also do this by hand. I know some of you are bread experts. So we're just showing you the not quite expert way to do it, right? By hand. So that we get a nice round piece. Let's do one more. And the dough, now that it's sat, it has a nice texture. Look at that. Again, making some flour on top. And then we just roll. I flip it over, roll again. Flip it over, roll again. So that we have a nice, you want to make sure it's thin. We don't want to go too thick on this. And the reason is because we want it to puff just like as if it were frying. So let's do one more so that we have four. Oh, this one's kind of a heart. How pretty is that? So put that here. We'll do one more. And so imperfect shapes are, fine. It's handmade, so we know that. And here again, rolling. Woohoo, look at that. And it will start to shrink back. It is a flour dough, so we've tried this. It doesn't work as well with gluten-free flour, so this is not gluten-free flour that we're using today. So let's go over to the grill and let me show you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and put the bread on top of the flame. I'm going to be using tongs. So, and the bread will start to puff just like as if it were frying. So what I have here is I have a basket, and that basket, I'm going to show you chef secret. Ooh, look, there are the bubbles. The bubbles are starting. So bubbles, see it? Just like as if it were frying. Look at that. Beautiful. So what we're going to do now is when it starts to bubble like that, we'll just go ahead and give it a flip. And we have a beautiful piece of no fry bread. I'm going to let that cook a little. We'll do one a little larger. And notice that we're not doing giant pieces, guys. The reason we're not doing giant pieces is because we want to control our serving size, right? So you can always go back and have another, but we want to just keep that serving size about like this. Okay, that's a good size. And so you'll notice we have some that Walter did, beautiful pieces of bread here. So if you don't have the grill, you could also use the mesh that you would dry, cookies on, or you can use just a very hot cast iron pan. And some of you may, I'm going to go ahead and stir this. This looks like it's on its way to being done. Is that, doesn't that look good? Everybody's starting to get hungry. Okay, and here's our other version in the back, nice and moist. We're gonna make 2 tacos today. Okay, so yum. So notice the bread, it's bubbling again. We're going to go ahead and wait till it bubbles all the way. And then, woo, look at that, perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and flip it over and let it cook on the other side. So you just want to make sure that the bread is cooked, and the way you tell that it's cooked is as it puffs up. I'm going to show you, so here's the chef secret. So I have a basket. In the basket, I have a plastic bag, but I don't want the bread to touch the plastic because we don't want to eat any of that poly plastic. So then I have a clean towel, okay? So the plastic is just going to keep it moist. I can cover it with the towel, and then the plastic will keep the bread warm and moist. Ooh, look, this is perfect. See it puffing up almost like a sopapilla. Look at that. Beautiful. See that? Beautiful. So that's what we are aiming for with this bread. And then, of course, it'll start to go back down. Let's go ahead and do one more. And so see how I can just cover it, and then I can cover it while the bread is waiting to be served. So we'll cook one more bread, and then we're going to go into plating. So we have enough time for questions. I'm just going to get my cutting board ready over here, and we'll show you how to plate and give you some ideas on some great ways and toppings for this. So, ooh, look at that bread puffing. See that? Isn't that just amazing? Look at those beautiful bubbles. Again, flipping over. We're letting that cook. And we have some yummy, delicious toppings for this. So let's just finish this bread, and then we'll come over and I will show you some of the great toppings. Get some plates. We'll do 2. So we're going to do 2 versions, and Walter's been doing a great job with the filming, letting you guys see everything close up. And here is our bread. And then let's take a look at some toppings, guys. So the traditional topping would be lettuce, tomato, and onion. And we're going to go ahead and do one of them with that. So we're going to use a romaine lettuce. But look at what we have here. This is watermelon radish. This is from the farmer's market. This is a regular radish. This is what's called ruby red or purple. We have some diced red bell pepper. These are all going to be very flavorful. We have a purple daikon. We could put a couple of strips of that on top. That's going to add some nice flavor. These are broccoli microgreens. Microgreens have lots and lots of nutrients. So I bought those. These are sunflower sprouts. They're going to have a little nutty flavor, and that's going to give some nice texture. We have pea. These are pea shoots, and so you could also think about using those. And then we have radish sprouts, and so radish could also be used as well. And so let's do the plating. I also have, and these are some of my favorite greens, I have a farmer's market lettuce. Look at the beautiful lettuces here, and we're just gonna rip those, and those are gonna go on top. So you can use beautiful homegrown lettuce. Maybe some of you have gardens. And then another great topping would be arugula. And arugula is one of the, so Walter right now is on the lettuce, but here is the arugula. The arugula is a little bit bitter. I love the flavor of this. So we can also use that as well. So lots of toppings. So let's go ahead and we will show you how we're going to garnish this. So we'll do the meat version first. So here we have a piece of bread, and I'm going to spoon some of that topping on top. Can you all take a look at that? And then under normal circumstances, we would put on some lettuce. So here is the romaine lettuce, and then some chopped onion. I like chopped onion. You could also add a little more chopped green chili if you wanted, but we have some nice green chili flavor in that. And then let's put some tomato. And here we have made one version so far, healthy Indian taco. That's with the ground turkey, and that's with the lettuce and tomato. And Walter's trying to tell me something, but I can't understand what he's saying with his lips. So the next one we're gonna do, we're gonna take a piece of bread here. Let's do the bean version. And when we were testing this recipe, this is sort of a native sloppy joe too, right? You could almost make this into its own dish, but let's go ahead and stick. So here's one version of an Indian taco. So now let's deviate a little and let's have some fun. So Walter was telling me to put something else on this one, but I'm going to take a little bit of my arugula and I'm going to shred that. That's going to give some really, really nice flavor. And then let's take some sprouts. How about that, Chef Walter? So we're going to take some of those beautiful sprouts, put that on top. And then what if we did some bell pepper? Ooh, look how pretty that is. And maybe we'll do a little bit of radish. So we can add some of that fun radish. And the other thing for the plant-based version is you could add avocado. You want to always look to see when they're on sale, when the best time to get those are. So let's go ahead and cut open. So avocados you have to buy in advance and you have to let them ripen. So we actually bought this a couple of days ago and we're just going to make a cut. And then I'm going to take a spoon and go into that. And then we could just take this and place it on top. Ooh, look. And so there, let's do one more because this is so much fun. So let's get one more plate and do another version of the Indian taco. And so we have this version. Look at how pretty that is. And let's go ahead and do one more. Chef Walter, what should we put on this one? What do you want to put on this one? So let's do another bread. So let me do, I'll do another version. So we're going to go ahead and spoon some of the delicious bean and chili version on that. And then let's use some of this amazing farmer's market lettuce. So let's rip that and put that on top. So you don't have to use romaine. This lettuce not only has better flavor, but I think it has better texture. And then how about this one? We can put some sunflower sprouts. That's gonna have some nutty flavor on there. And then we can do, we'll put a little of the purple daikon radish on this. So a couple of strips of that. We can put some bell pepper as well. We'll do a little bit fresh tomato, a little bit of that sweet white onion that we cut. And here is another version of the Indian taco. Maybe for this one, let's do a little bit of the broccoli microgreens on top. Look at that. So in a relatively short amount of time, we have done lots of different versions of our Indian taco. There's one. These are healthy. These are going to be delicious. I'm going to put these right here for Chef Walter. Ooh, look at that. Very pretty. And I wish you could all be here so we could each serve you. I do a class at the Institute of American Indian Arts, and we actually do make your own Indian taco. And so look how pretty these plates are. We could serve a couple of those watermelon radishes. Look at that to the side. And so when we do our make your own Indian taco class, everybody gets to put exactly what they want. I know some of you are going to say, I want more green chili. So let me cut one more green chili, and we could just take a little bit more of that green chili and put it into a dice. And that, which one should we sprinkle that on? We could sprinkle that on this guy. Look at that, green chili. And it's so much fun. This is a great family activity. Everybody can get involved, and then everybody can make the tacos the way they want. So this is a great meal and lots of fun. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a dessert that we made. And the dessert is actually up on the website. the diabetes website. So you're going to be able to learn how to do this. So this could be the entree course. And then look what we have for dessert. And this is where Chef Walter's going to come around, because he is going to garnish these, and we're going to open it up for some question and answer. But we have taken blue corn mush with boiled berries, and we have made what we call a Native American parfait. And you can top it here. We've topped it with pecans, but Chef Walter has a little bit of a surprise. So we're gonna let him come in. See how beautiful those layers are. So this corn mush is made with ash, and the ash, of course, has lots of calcium. This is an ancestral dish that's easy, and many of you may know how to do this. And so again, these have the nuts, these do not. And Chef Walter went out and picked some branches. He loves to make his food beautiful. So we're gonna let him garnish and talk about his idea there, kind of fun and creative. And so these Indian tacos look so good. We have lots of beauty, lots of flavor, lots of fiber, lots of nutrients, lots of vegetables. And remember, those vegetables, very important in our diet. And what a fun class. So Chef Walter's going to get that camera steady and then come around. We will open it up to some questions. But what a fun night to be able to make these tacos and give you guys some ideas for this. So Chef Walter, come on around, and why don't you just talk about the garnish that you picked and what you're going to do with the garnish over there.
I just want to greet myself. My name is Walter Whitewater. I'm today. I'm from Arizona, and a place called Pinon. That's right. Anyway, I went outside and got some cedar and some pine bush out there. So a lot of our food that we use as here for our garnish or maybe we cook with is our medicine, as the word is, and is there. So anyway, this is another way of having an idea for the holidays coming up and all that. You know, I love to have my food look beautiful. You know, I want it to represent the native people. What kind of food that we have, you know, that our food is beautiful too. So that's the way that I cook and share with others and different tribes, and throughout my our travel. When I do this, I always try to put something in there, something that they can do what I'm doing too. So especially with these the younger generation that now popping up, they want to become a chef or become whatever it is they want it to be. And this is just another way, contemporary native food, and that we came up. We usually in the Navajo way, I guess the word is. Sometimes we use white corn, not only blue. But I know around this area, I see a lot of blue corn. So anyway, this is just another way of saying happy holidays, and hope you all enjoy. And you can always like invite us and hey, have that fried bread contest or something.
No fried bread.
Yeah.
So we're going to open it up to some questions. I don't know who's going to, I think either Tim or Rochelle, are you going to field some questions for us?
We are going to field some questions for you. So, actually, the three of us. So myself, and Rochelle, and Lisa are going to field some questions.
Lisa, great. Okay.
So, so the first one says, "This is wonderful. Where can I get the recipes? I want to make these for my family."
Yay! So we're going to give you all the recipes: the healthy Indian taco, the no-fry fry bread, and the Native American parfait corn pudding. So all of those will be available. And great question. And we're glad you're going to make it for your family. That's what we want you to do. Great.
That's great. Okay. Rochelle,
Okay,
next question.
So the next question is, I learned so much from your gardening talk last week. For a new grower, what's the easiest crop to plant at home?
So that's a really good question. So we're moving into winter, and I think a really good thing to do would be to start with some small pots in your kitchen by a window and maybe grow some herbs. So I'm growing thyme and sage and oregano and flat leaf parsley and scallions in my little kitchen area. So that's my window garden. And then when we get warm and we start to be able to go outside, I would try the three sisters. So corn, beans, and squash. Tomatoes are also pretty hardy and pretty easy to do. And of course, the New Mexico favorite, chilies. So maybe even just 1 or 2 chili plants, start out slow and then build. So those are all good crops, fairly easy to grow.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Got one more question. I can't remember all the foods Native people gave to the world. I think you called them the Magic 8. What are the foods Native people gave the world?
Good question. I'm so glad you asked that. That means you were watching. So yes, it is the Magic 8. And actually that is going to be a future book of mine that I'm working on. And those 8 ingredients, corn, beans, squash, chili, tomato, potato, vanilla, and cacao. Cacao being the foundation for chocolate. So these are foods that did not exist anywhere outside of the Americas until after 1492. They are ancestral, indigenous, Native American foods, and these are a great 8 to work with when composing menus, and we use them all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, great question, huh?
Very good.
Any other questions?
Let's take a quick look here. I don't see any other questions, but those were great questions.
Oh, I see one.
You go. One just popped in. Cool. Rochelle?
Can I incorporate wheat flour with the white? And what would the
Yes.
ratios be? Or what ratios?
That's a great question. So wheat is a little heavier, but it's healthier. We want those whole grains. And so your recipe to make, about a dozen or so no-fry fried breads, we use 4 cups of flour. So you could do half and half, and that would be a great ratio. And we've also made it with blue corn. So we've made blue corn no-fry fried bread. And if Rochelle, you think community members would be interested in that, I can share that recipe with you guys as well. So that would be flour and the cornmeal, or you can do whole wheat with the unbleached flour. So yes, but you have to work the whole wheat flour a little more. It's a little heavier, but much healthier. So good. I'm so glad you're interested in doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Anybody else got
I
any
have a
questions?
question.
All right.
I have a question. Where do you buy that Santa Fe grill?
Aha. So the Santa Fe grill is from the Santa Fe School of Cooking. They manufacture these and they sell them, and they're fairly inexpensive. I think they retail for about $32.95. I'm pretty sure that's the price, and then you could pick it up, which would be cheaper. Shipping has gotten really expensive, so maybe you want to get a bunch of neighbors together and all chip in, and then one person goes and picks them up. But this is where we buy them. I have about 8 or 10 of them. You could use them outdoors. You can use them indoors. But if you don't have that and you don't have the resources to buy one, you could absolutely use the little cookie grill that you dry cookies on, right? A drying, a cooling rack, and just put that over the flame, and that'll work the same as well. So either or you can also use a cast iron pan.
Mhm.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions, Chef Walter and Dr. Frank, thank you very much. We love watching you cook, and I just wish we had smell-o-vision. That would be really nice.
I know.
Come on over and
I
try it out here.
know, we do. And so
Absolutely beautiful.
once COVID moves into a different phase and we're allowed to do in-person events, we would be so honored to come to your community and cook and let you eat it all. And that's something we should definitely plan for the future. It's been an honor to be your chefs tonight, and we want you to be healthy and well, and you've got some great health educators in your community, and use them as resources. And thank you so much to the Physicians Committee for helping us with the technology of the webinar, and
Yes.
all the sponsors for this. And thank you guys for having us. It's been an honor.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
our next and final session will be on December 8th at 7 o'clock. And Dr. Carolyn Trapp from Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, is that correct? Will be presenting. And that's going to be an exciting presentation. That will also be live. And Dr. Frank and Walter, you'll be present as well?
Yes, we
Oh,
will.
yes.
Okay, great. So we'll also have a question and answer session there. So if you didn't get to ask your question to the chefs, that'll be an opportunity to do that. And we look forward to seeing everybody on the 8th of December. So everybody have a blessed night and a safe and blessed gathering this week. And we'll see you on the 8th. Take
Bye,
care now.
everybody. See you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.